sensations make me feel the pleasures of a normal man. These sensations spare the insults, leave them for another day. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, take the shock away.
Alright. Welcome to the zone. What, a drawing. Some of my own stuff, or really weird ones, but I'm down to show. That's called, if you call your local representative, do not mention his bones or his family's bones. This is about, this is so cliche, but it's about, capitalism and stuff. This is like millennials, because I'm 36, so this is millennials, like, buying stuff to, like, show that they, like, that they're not just regular people. Right, and then so the world has become, instead of different, countries, it's different areas of industries. I think a lot of the Pacific Ocean is just Tide. That's a Tide logo. And that's Steven Tyler. And someone vandalized his UFO because he was like dating this 15-year-old, and then her mom like gave him guardianship. I don't know if that's like an internet rumor or whatever, but anyways, if you look it up, so someone like spray painted pig on his UFO. There's Freddie. That's the RCMP officer that pepper sprayed a guy who was protesting John Chrétien.
How long was that?
A really long time ago, like the 90s. And I think that's all of them in there. That's all the references. Yeah, it's ballpoint pen, like Bic. Yeah. I'd say it's just harder now to be an artist anywhere locally in a small way, but I think it's going to change. Like, I think all the Instagram and all that stupid shit that we all are like forced to interact with because it saddles up to communication, stuff like that. Anyways, I think like it did something where it broke local stuff a little bit off, and we all thought that the internet was like the world, but I think slowly people are starting to like go see shows or go see more art stuff. So I think the hardest part is just competing with that, but that's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm getting really into just like trying not to spend money and just salvage material. Learning how to like take a shitty piece of wood and sand it and make it a panel, because like stores, they want to charge like $50 or whatever for a panel, but if I just put 6 hours into sanding it and prepping it, then it's like that was free. So yeah, and I think the craft part's awesome. I love doing it. I love like painting stuff and waiting for stuff to dry, and we live in a world where everyone's throwing shit out, so you can get stuff so easy. You look in a dumpster, you find there's a bucket of screws. Now I'm good for screws for 6 months. Fuck yeah.
Arthur.
Arthur? Dylan.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Let's go inside and we'll see how many people are out.
That's good. Thank you.
What's your question?
What was your idea behind this work here?
The specific works, you mean?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of old stuff. So you can see it. It's kind of 3D stuff.
Yeah, it kind of like it's like jumping off the canvas.
Yeah, lots of volumes. I like to work volumes. Kind of human stuff, either human objects or engineering stuff related to human, or straight. So sometimes it could be portraits that I paint this way, that I having fun to break, to destroy, and to make a reborn with vegetation and stuff like that. So there's a kind of idea of eternal cycle, or vegetation and natural stuff are coming, taking her rights back You know what I mean?
You take over the artificial, right?
Yeah.
The natural.
Yeah, yeah.
Always finds its way back.
So this is very, you can see it pretty well on this painting. It's dead humans with vegetation coming over again, but maybe the human will destroy the vegetation and you know, cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ooh.
She is the critics, yeah. Oh fuck. It's the inconvenience to share a space with other people. It's the first time I see that. Anyways, it's not too bad. It's varnished.
I think people need to not be afraid to stand for something. You know, as artists, we make things and we have something to say, and we shouldn't have to sell out to say it. So to be able to find like-minded community, I think that's the only way we're going to survive in any sort of meaningful way. My name's Angela. Yeah, I mostly do social justice docs. I work a lot in Northern Canada. I'm also the executive director for Kickstart Disability Arts and Culture. Oh,
Where were
Yeah.
you working from?
I've lived out of a suitcase for the last 5 years, so I haven't really had a home, which is actually kind of fun too.
Okay. So just like traveling around.
Traveling around,
That's a cool term. Living out of a suitcase.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
heard
that's
that.
my home.
Nice.
Like, wherever you open your bag up and
Yeah.
have your shit, then that's your home,
Is
right?
it easier for you to like travel with less stuff and just go with the flow?
It is. I did have a home in Manitoba, and Manitoba, it's like super cheap to live there, right? So I had like a 4-bedroom house, and I just decided that I enjoyed being out of a suitcase. Got rid of like 85% of my stuff. My stuff could fit in your car, what I own now, and it feels amazing.
What's like the biggest issue facing artists / young artists in Vancouver?
Oh, as someone who, runs an arts organization for professional artists, as a nonprofit, the things that I see that are the most difficult are, costs for everything are going up and up and up, and then the grants and the funding is not just staying stagnant, but it's going less and less and less, right? You're being asked to do more with less resources, and so that's why I think communities like this are so important, right? Because we can share resources, we can support each other's work, and these places are integral to something like Vancouver that's so massive, right? You can get lost so easily in this city, and there are so many people doing so many incredible things that we don't have time to connect. And so if we can connect, then we can share resources, because the biggest challenge right now is funding and not having to be a sellout to get that funding.
What does your ideal future for art in Vancouver look like?
My ideal future for Vancouver to look like would be that artists rule the world and that all of the bureaucrats are dead. This is the City Center Artist Lodge. It was a motel that was really crummy, and these developers bought it probably about 4 years ago, and their plan is to knock it down and build some towers. And so what I did was I called them up and asked if they wanted to rent it to me to turn into artist spaces, and they said yes. So here we are. Well, I mean, everything in our lives is temporary. None of us are going to be here forever. So this place is going to be here as long as it's going to be here. It's going to be here till they knock it down. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's given a lot of space for a lot of artists. Hopefully we're here for another couple of years, but I mean, when it's over, it's over. Well, I mean, artists always need space. That's always a struggle. Artists aren't the best at doing things like paying bills and getting the rent in on time.
I spent all my student loan money on Copic markers.
So there's a lot of people like me that offers kind of art space administrators that kind of fill in the gap. I have 11 different buildings like this all across Vancouver, and so I've been doing this for about 20 years of taking empty buildings and turning them into artist space. Some of my buildings have been around for 18 years. Some of my buildings like this one have been around for 4. I hope all of them are here forever, but like I said, nothing lasts forever. So Someday they'll all be gone. Artist space is really important, but it's really important too that there's people like me that exist to be able to run the building so the artists can do what they need to do, which is create art.
Do you think that the city has done enough to provide space for artists that's affordable?
It's not the city's job to provide space for artists that's affordable. It's my job to provide space for artists that's affordable. The city just needs to get out of our way so that we can do it. The city has a lot of building codes and a lot of permits and a lot of issues that they create that stop me from being able to do stuff like this. And if they got out of the way, people like me would be able to create a lot more space and artists would be able to be a lot more active. So that's a whole conversation to have with the city and to figure out how to make that work a little better, right? Rather than saying it's the city's responsibility to do it, it's more the city's responsibility to get out of the way, I think.
One of the biggest issues facing Vancouver artists has been for like maybe 10, 20 years is just affordability. Like we live in Vancouver, it's a very expensive city. What's remarkable is that artists have sort of figured out that they want to continue to make art and they want to stay in Vancouver. A lot of the times the artists are in spaces that nobody else will go. So they'll have a studio on East Hastings Street, like right in the heart of the downtown east side, like Columbia and Hastings. There's a lot of like artist studios where most like other Vancouverites wouldn't necessarily traffic because that's the only real estate that people could afford because the place is so unaffordable. But somehow like the brain drain hasn't really gotten worse, like to a disastrous level. Like artists are staying, so we have to celebrate that as a city, I think. The artists who are staying, they're making remarkable work that's like sometimes quite internationally renowned. And it's been that way for like 50 years here in Vancouver. But if the city becomes more and more unaffordable and people who want to make art can't afford to live here, can't afford their studio practice here, then they'll leave. I don't think people necessarily want to participate in the culture that's being built around them. And I think it's really important to stay curious. And Vancouver people should like just be curious about what's around them and like talk to their friends who are in the arts and like learn about what's going on and participate, you know, because there's so much going on. It's really quite exciting when you sort of get into it, but a lot of people don't necessarily have the intention to go to those art events. And they're everywhere throughout the year. It's really fun. It's a good community. It's a great scene, I suppose. You know, like if you're sort of looking for something hype, it's pretty interesting. You know, and the art's really impeccable a lot of the time. There's a lot of great artists here, so we have to maintain that somehow. Vancouver's got something going on, and it shouldn't lose it, you know, just because the city's gotten too expensive.
What's this project you're working on here?
And just the idea of integrating like more meanings into my artworks through materials. So this is the idea. Yeah, a lot of my journey is about my multicultural identity. So I'm speaking about like someone who is a citizen of Canada now, but I'm also like citizen of France. With like African roots, so I'm mixing like that kind of multicultural identity with also meanings with African fabric. As I had a fashion, so I have a fashion background, so I'm mixing like everything in my pieces to have something who's gonna reach people, but with meanings and with my own personality. My main job is like the art to express what I want to do or what I want to say. So it's a good way of working on yourself as a self-development through pieces, but also helping people to evolve and being like a contribution for the world.
Why is it so important that Vancouver has these spaces?
I think it's important just because like culture is a part of every city. So we need to have spaces for artists to express and to help and having that contribution to the community. And if we don't have spaces, so we can't create, and if we don't have art around us, so it's going to be a little bit sad, or like it's going to be another world. So having a space, especially in Granville Island, where you have like a ton of different artists, is great, because we are surrounded by that kind of energy, atmosphere, where we can speak to each other, having some idea, sharing some insight, having some feedbacks. We should focus more like on what we want to do in that life, and for me, the fact you know what you want to do is gonna give you enough money, or like enough help to create your path as an artist. Because like culture is it's a part of life, so life without culture will be nothing.
All of the bureaucrats are dead.
Welcome to Top Chef Canada. Today we're making TNT sushi.
Fuck yeah.
Wow, that's my new name.
I spent all my student loan money on Copic markers, and because I got $15,000 when my brain wasn't fully developed.